Yo, what's up, guys? Sorry about that. Yo, what's up, Green? How you doing, man? What's up, Tim? What's up, Plant? What's up, Steve? What's up, Firekeeper? What's up, Alan? How are you guys? All right. Steve, I know what you're gonna ask. Makachev. I got Makachev. GTA 6 is delayed again? Oh, really? I didn't know that. Was it like an announcement today? Midnight for you? Good bedtime stream? I'll try to have a little bit more of an ASMR voice for you, Firekeeper. I'll try to not cough in your ear too much. November 26th. So that's basically like 1 year away from now. That's not really surprising. It's very ambitious. Fallout 5 got delayed again to 2135. So it's out of our reach, is what you're saying? Want to polish the game to the level we've come to expect. I think that's fine. I think it's probably what most video game studios should do, right? Like delay a game a year, because usually when games come out, like, you know, let's say Cyberpunk, like the devs would have needed a year, basically, another year to be able to deliver on the expectations, and not just that, not just deliver on expectations, but to straight up release a non-broken product. So I think it's a good thing that it's delayed. You know, it's always unfortunate because you have to wait more, but at the end of the day, it's probably the right thing to do, right? As much as you like consoles, GTA is way better on PC because of the mods. I don't think I've ever played GTA with mods, but from what I remember, like the Rockstar games release at 30 FPS on consoles, which is pretty brutal. Forgot if the... I remember this club like does really good for Fate builds, but I forgot if it's good fire infuse on strength. Forgot if that's what we were doing last time. Okay, which Ash could be good for a club like that? Could give us something. Like Flame Strike is the no-brainer. Oh, you know what? I want to try Portaloo as like a get out of jail card. Let's try that. You've been looking to playing in these 5M servers, YouTube algo convinced you. Yeah, I heard a lot about those. I mean, to me, it seems like some closer to like an MMO of some sort. I'm not really into that, but I could see how people could be interested. You ready for some R2's home run? Yeah. I'm thinking here, maybe... like, if I do that... yeah. Probably gonna be better if I do this. Oh yeah, I forgot. We can't invade from here. We're gonna need to change spot. Because we learned last time that it's not a good idea. For invasion, we want to find a spot that's like near a hotspot of some sort. So we're gonna play around with that, guys. I think we need to go toward the DLC stuff. Where to go here? What if we leveled to 135 instead? Will we find more activity? There you go. Maybe we just needed a little shakeup. You're out of the loop when it comes to PvP. Will Tarnished Edition change everything? It will change everything. Everything will be changed. Everything. You have my words on that, and it means a lot. Oh shit. The lag's scary. Oh! Ooh! Oh my god, dude, that was crazy. I think Duskblood will change even more. Shame that only the 3 players that will play will know. Yeah, this guy definitely had Ultra Instinct for sure. Look at that, 135, we're finding more already. Wonder if it has something to do with it. Maybe it's gonna be our new sweet spot. Maybe we're gonna revive the 135 meta from DS1. It sucks that it's going to be locked behind the Switch. Yeah, I think that's how most of us feel. Why 135 instead of 139? At 139, you're just trying to abuse the leveling system to match and have an advantage over 125s. Because that's really all it does. Like, 139 doesn't match anything upward that you wouldn't reach with 135. Like, the idea with the 130s is to have the highest possible level against the 125s. That's where it's from. It's like what I'm doing if I'm going from 125 to 135. I'm just seeing if the activity changes if you level up incrementally. Like all the way to, you know, whatever. Is the thing that often happens with these games and why I don't particularly like the way the leveling system works is that you're going to have a meta that's going to be created, and the meta is going to be created around tournaments and people that play tournaments, and that level is going to dictate what the meta is. Then after that, you're going to have a whole ecosystem that's built around the meta, and that ecosystem is usually built around abusing the meta level, meaning 139 is not a random number. It's the highest number that matches 125s. And so the only reason 139 exists is because you want to have an advantage over 125. If you're 135, for instance, you're leveling up a little higher, but you're not taking advantage of someone that is at 125 to, like, squeeze every point you can get out of it. Oh, he light roll there. Try to kill him before. I was about to say before the other guy gets up, but I think the other guy got killed by the mobs down there. That's why FromSoft should hard lock it. I agree with you. I think the level cap should be hard lock at a level, you know, a max level that is not like 99 in every stats. Like anything would be better than 99 in every stats. Like my problem with max level, like ideally, like here's the deal, guys. Like right now, if you want the highest activity, what do? You play at the max level bracket, because that's where most of the activity is, because ultimately people that keep playing the game years down the line have leveled up their character enough to be high level. And so people that play the game organically are going to find themselves eventually at the max level, and obviously a lot of people before that will boost themselves to max level, because the goal for any game is to level up. Like the goal if you're playing the game is to get to the highest possible level. So the problem with that though is that once you reach high level or max level, then your build starts to make less and less sense, because the points that you decided to allocate for your build become more and more insignificant, because you just have points in everything, and you reach the point obviously which is the end game where your build is maxed out. So you have 99 in everything, and so when you reach that point, and way before that as well, build making does not make sense because it does not exist anymore. So a big part of these games is making a build or a character that you enjoy, you know, have a specific identity, specific weapons that it can use, that sort of stuff. And so if you start to just let every build do whatever they want, you just literally destroy like one of the major aspect of RPG game, which is character making and build making. And so max level destroys that aspect, and it's a bad thing for the players and for the game. And it's a bad thing even for those who enjoy max level. They probably don't even realize that they would enjoy a game more that doesn't have a 99 max level and everything, even if they disagree with it now. You know, if you have some sort of time chamber, alternate universe, you name it, chances are they would likely prefer this alternate universe, even if they don't even know it. So at the end of the day, what FromSoft needs to do here is have a hard cap that is not 99 in every stance, but something that is lower than that, to where the game still is challenging, and that build making still exists at the max level. And you know, we've talked about this in the past. My suggestion for that would be level 200, because beyond level 200, build making starts to be more and more irrelevant. Whereas 200 is also very generous with your levels. Like there's no build that you cannot make at level 200. Like no matter what you try to make for a build, you can make anything at 200. And so 200 is I think a compromise between generous stat allocation and not like allowing you to do like practically everything on your build at once. Like for instance, if you are making a 200 build, you can make a perfect strength build, but you can also make a strength build hybrid with either arcane, either magic strength, fate strength, you name it. You can make a perfectly viable hybrid. Now, if you want to make a mage build, you can also make a perfectly allocated mage build. You can make a hybrid of any kind, but you can't have a dex build, a strength build, a mage build, and a fate build at 200. So at least you still have to decide a hybrid between two elements, so to speak, or specialize in one specific one. And so just that, for instance, makes so much more sense than letting people level up forever. Yeah, also, what Hack just brought up there is such a good point. Like, the thing with their games is that even if you play their games normally, like organically, by playing the game, leveling up, replaying the game, playing with your buddies, everything, the game actually becomes trivial once you reach like the high levels of like the 300 plus. Like, the bosses become trivial because you just have every stat and everything, and you just start dishing so much damage that the whole point of the game, like the challenging aspect, is not there anymore. And so you have this inverse curve of difficulty with these games where your first playthrough is going to be way harder than the subsequent ones because your build just becomes so much stronger. And that's aside from the fact that, you know the game already, right? Like, technically, you'd want the subsequent playthrough to be harder than the first one to account for the player knowing what's coming. And so that's not the case here. Like, basically, your subsequent playthrough after the first one is going to be super easy because now your build is going to have like everything you want, and the more you go through that process, the more true it's going to be. And so even from a PvE perspective, the game would benefit so much more from having a level cap. Yo, man, thank you so much for the tip, dude. Take your Tarnished Edition saving. All right, I'll buy Tarnished Edition with that saving. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. That would restrict a lot of stuff. That's a low IQ take. No, that's not a low IQ take. That's an ignorant take. Because no, it would not. You can make any hybrid at any level. The problem is that people that are bad at the game, that don't know the game mechanics, that don't understand how to make builds, just expect to be able to put their points in everything at the same time and be able to do everything. Whereas what they don't realize is they rob themselves without even knowing of the fun of crafting builds and problem-solving build making. You can make anything work at 200, like literally anything. So that statement is simply false, that you can't make whatever X you're talking about. That is simply a false and ignorant statement. I think most people that say these sorts of things, what they don't understand is the concept of build making is about making sacrifices. They want their character to be able to do everything to the level of a specialist, whereas the concept of build making is to sacrifice one thing to put it somewhere else. You need to have sacrifices. You can't have your build be a master of everything. That's counterintuitive. That's what destroys build making. Masters of everything. And the ultimate master of everything is 99 in every stat, which is the problem that this game has. Tell that to Reddit? That's what I'm saying. Like, even people that argue against that, like I said, if we had some sort of alternate universe where, you had them going through a timeline where these games actually have a level cap, they don't even know it yet, but they would prefer that over, like, max leveling because it's simply more fun. They just don't really, they don't realize it because they're just, usually not very knowledgeable about these games. They don't understand the mechanics. They don't understand build making. And it's fine, they don't need to understand build making. That's the developer's job, right? Like, people that like their max level build, there's nothing wrong with that. This is the game that you've been given. But if you have to take a step back and look at the game as a whole, I mean, obviously, if you understand these games, you realize that, well, it's pretty clear that these games would benefit a lot from a level cap. And that's not just, from a build-making standpoint. Like, that also massively increases activity for co-op, and if it increases activity for co-op, also for PvP. But obviously, if you are from South, you care more about co-op, so PvP has always been like some sort of like second importance, not as important. Like the concept for RPGs is really all about like making your own character, like making it your own. That's what's fun about these games and these RPGs. Is like you want your character to be special, to be unique, that sort of stuff. And you decide that through character creation. That's important. Character customization and build making, which has a major impact on... Just took it in the forehead. Speaking of over level, there's one right there. No character that just has everything. I don't want to kill the host, I really want to kill that stupid overleveled phantom. Oh my god, I wasn't even close to that. Be dangerous. We're gonna play this a little different. I'm gonna start to get into try-hard gear a little bit more. Still focusing on the Phantom, though. Insane shit net. Aiming to do that. Definitely adds some difficulty to be focused on not killing the stupid host. And just punish the Phantom. Maybe if I put him to sleep, that could help. There we go. Okay, no hit there. $138K? How? What level is 138K, by the way? But it's 120 FPS. Yeah, that's another thing. It would be nice to get 120 FPS for future FromSoft games. Probably too much to ask, but that would be nice. For PC at least. In level 500. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, 500 is very overleveled. You say no need to use insult for the debate. I'm not insulting anyone. Like I said, you know, like, it's just, there's no other way to put it, that people that legitimately believe that this over-leveling is a good thing are legitimately ignorant. Like, there's just no other way to put it. Like, there are people that are gonna sugarcoat it and say, like, oh, you know, this or that. They're gonna try to use, like, positive language, reinforcement. They're not gonna say things as they think they are or talk straight up. I just don't lie to you. I'm just being honest. You can decide to be hurt or not. Just the reality. Most people don't even realize there's 0 point of being overleveled when you can reach hard caps in every stat. Oh, yeah, you mean like, you know, 80, 60, you know, that sort of stuff, yeah. Well, to be fair, there's no point in not going to max level if you're gonna have, like, hard caps and everything, because that does not affect your matchmaking either. Everyone good under 168 just runs strength build. That's, first of all, that's false. The reason why I run strength build is because I'm not bothered to change my character. Right now, I'd probably prefer running a dex build, but my most fun builds that I've tried was when I could actually switch build, when I could be bothered to do it, running a magic focused build. So that's just simply false. Like, it's just a matter of, like, trusting sword being dominant and being, like, most used, but that's just not a true statement. We have a teammate. Who do we got? Oh shit, we got homie. All right, gotta find him though. There he is. Oh, he just respawned. No hit? The fuck is this guy's connection? Oh, okay, yeah, he is latent. It's gonna be a drawn-out battle, so we have to take our time. That's the correct play. My timing's good, guys. My timing's good. Timing's good, but it's just unlucky. One moment. I should green. Strength being by far the best build. That's not even true though. Like, you people are so ignorant. Like, you have scrubs on YouTube. That's why I don't really read like as much like the YouTube chat, because people there that like hang around YouTube, generally speaking, are just more casually focused players, and they say the dumbest shit possible. Like, well, not the dumbest shit possible, but let's say the furthest thing from the truth when it comes to these games. Like, under no restriction, when you're invading, like, you're way better off with a Fade build. Why is that? Because Fade build have access to the nastiest buffs. Like, with Fade build, you simply deal, like, way more damage. Yeah, it's not even mentioned. Like, if you're playing the arena, like, unrestricted, like, Ill from afar, like, completely breaks the arena. Let's not even talk about that. Like, people talk about how Trusting Sword is broken, but they never acknowledge fucking Ill from afar, for instance. And how that completely breaks the game, like, way more than a Trusting Sword. And then they're like, then why are you playing with a strength build? Because fucking Elden Ring takes forever to make builds. And right now we have a new version of the game that's coming up soon enough that is going to make all your builds irrelevant. So it's pointless right now to remake your builds. This fucking guy staying around rocks just to just to save himself from guaranteed shots. There you go. Like, a lot of tournaments are not even won by strength builds. Like, even if you don't take invasions into account in your account for dueling, like, strength is not, like, the best defense is not an argument anymore. It was an argument in Dark Souls 3, and strength builds were not the best back then either. Quality build was the best build back in DS3. At meta, I mean. Now you're saying that at meta strength is the best. I'm not even sure that's true, honestly. Because you're quote-unquote dueling, the best build is going to depend on the rule set. If you take everything into account, like, other builds have, like, completely broken abilities. Like, for instance, if you don't ban gravitational missiles in duels, and you do, like, let's say, like, you duel, let's say, in a standard map, which would be, like, you know, an area like Stormvale or something like that. Like, gravitational missile is gonna destroy, like, pretty much any other weapon and any other strategy you could have aside from spamming Ender. And this is stuff that people that play ladder or, like, you know, only play, like, these, like, brain dead, like, you know, long ass fucking ban list. They don't even understand stuff that's actually, like, really broken in the game, and they don't even talk about it because that's banned on their list, so they never have to consider it whatsoever. But when it comes down to it, stuff like gravitational missile, like, is way more broken than trusting sword in a duel. I don't know if you realize that. Try using Icon Shield and Heavy Armor on Fate at 125. Bro, you just basically outed yourself as being someone that's bad at build making. Bro, it is not hard to make a build with Icon Shield and have, like, a perfect fucking stats. Bro, like, this is, like, some... Yeah, this is just some, like... It's not even worth talking about. Like, if you can't even make a Fate build with Icon Shield and, like, you know, your breakpoint and everything... I mean, you just don't know how to make builds, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, you don't even need the icon stat requirement. Maybe that's where your confusion comes from. Is this a bait? I don't think so. I think people on YouTube legitimately don't understand this game. They have no idea what they're talking about. They repeat stuff they've heard somewhere. And they simply don't understand the game. I mean, it was like that for Dark Souls 3, but with Dark Souls 3, I feel like we had, like, a more active PvP community, so this sort of stuff was less common. But, like, you know, this game is way more casual in general, so even players that, quote-unquote, think they're good, like, they have no, like, measuring stick. So, like, anyone can think they're hot shit or that they understand the game or that, you know, they're decent and whatever because Elden Ring has a bunch of gimmicks. And so you have bad players who are very confident in their shit takes. It's just, it happens. Especially in this game. Like, right now, if you wanted to go into a duel with a melee weapon and you wanted the best odds possible, you'd make a build that's probably around BHB Blind Spot. Because BHB Blind Spot will pretty much destroy, like, anything I can think of. Like, BHB Blind Spot will, like, an optimized BHB Blind Spot will have an advantage against whatever you can make up. I could pull out stat out of my ass. Alright, idiot. Let's see that. Let's do it. I'll take you on that, you fucking moron. I'll take the bait. Let's pull up a character planner. Alright. Let's see here. Windows, Elden Ring calculator. There you go. Alright, let's make a Fate build, guys. Start with Vagabond. Fate. Let's just go 50. You probably don't even need 50. Could go with like 49. And then figure you want to be a little generous. You know, we're gonna do like everyone does. Divine Bird Helm. Even gonna have like super good armor. Like I'm gonna be basically wearing the armor I'm wearing. There you go. I mean, I hope that's satisfactory to you to have like this fucking armor, you know? You just gain 17 and 17 here, like already like with 18 here, you can pretty much wield like anything. And let's see how many endurance we can sneak in there. Oh shit. Oh my god, we're at 41 already. What the fuck? You already lost the argument and I did not even have to try or even think, you fucking moron. Alright. Icon shield. There you go. And haven't done the talisman. Favor. Great jar, because that's what I'm actually using at meta. Just using the talisman that... and then... Usually I account for... I don't account anymore for red and blue tier. Because when I use red and blue tier, I'll have... I'll change my armor to royal remains. So I usually account for stuff like shard and like clot, because those are like some of the more like heavy talisman that you use. Like these are obviously like not what you would necessarily use like with this build, but these are pretty much like heavy talisman that represent any other talisman that you'd have on your build. And let's see, I mean, what weapon do you guys play with? Fucking great sword. What's the name of the no, not Banished Knight. Forgot the name of the great sword I use. Purporia? Alright. Purporia. That's 63% with Purporia. Alright, let's I mean that's every weapon. Like only Gugs. Let's try Zwei. Like let's see if you can use a Colossal. Obviously Gugs would be okay, so there you go. You can even use like Zweihander. How heavy is Zwei? I think it's like 17.5 unit. So I mean like the argument can't even be made, because even with Gugs, like for my strength build, I can't even use Icon with Gugs either. Like, so like the argument doesn't even work anymore. Like even if you wanted to use Gugs, I think I'm not even sure you have the stats for Gugs though. Because like honestly here, like if you have more points here, like you're just wasting your stats for pretty much every build you could be making. But yeah, Gugs is like one of the only weapon you wouldn't be able to use. But I mean, it makes sense because it's a strength weapon. But you'd be able to use Zwei in pretty much any weapon that's comparable or under Zwei weight. And obviously, you reach the fucking Fate soft cap on top of that. You have like 41 endurance. Personally, I'd probably like lower that. Like if it was my build, like we're doing this for the sake of this idiot that actually left. You know, like he's not even here anymore because like he's been outed as an idiot. But like if it was me personally, like for the sake of argument, obviously here you can reach 41 and have like reach normal like breakpoints and everything. But if it was me, I'd probably go like something like that, and then I'd put the other points I don't know where. You know, like depending on what I was going for. Like if it was me, I'd probably go this route instead. But if you want to push to have like more carry weight, you could go like that, or even like this. You know, because technically like on Fate build usually you don't really need like 18 strength. Like usually like having 16 is better off, unless you want to use like Great Lance for some reason. Like if you're a Great Lance enjoyer, you know, oops, not this one. If you're a Great Lance enjoyer, like you could easily have like this sort of stat allocation. And so like obviously like you take away the ability to use Zwei. But or do you actually? Yeah, you do, because well, actually you don't, because you can still use Zwei. It's just can't have the icon if you have 38. But really, like technically speaking, you know, if you wanted to have like even Zwei with icon, you can do it. So yeah, you know, debunk the ignorant YouTube commenter. There you go. Wasn't that hard either. Didn't even have to think or really sacrifice anything. That's the crazy part. I did not even have to make any compromise to the build. Like when I when I went and opened the page, I was expecting to have to, like, you know, maybe go like at 48, 49, like Fate, you know, just sneak in a few points here and there. Because you can absolutely do that. If you're looking to reach a specific breakpoint, you can just take away a little bit here, a little bit there, and balance out your build that way. That's how I make builds, you know. That's what's fun about build making. It's just scrapping a little bit there, a little bit here, and just like, you know, balance out your build that way. Whereas if you just have like that much stat, it's just, you can really make anything. So like the guy saying that you cannot make like a viable like Fate build at 125 with Icon Shield, that's just straight up like ignorant. Like the guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. You also get access to 12 HP heal regen. Yeah, that's on top of like all the fucking spells that you can have. And let's not forget that, like, soon with Tarnished Edition, every build will gain a few points extra. And so, like, I think, like, your Fate build that I've shown there, you're gonna get, like, 3 other points of extra on top of, you know, on top of what we just shown. By the way, the guy who argued about that, guys, he's not here anymore. He left. Like, this shit's, you know, like I'm talking to you guys, you know, I'm not even talking to him anymore. So classic. I mean, that's the thing, like, usually with Redditors, you're arguing with people that just have no idea what they're talking about. And then they say that, like, that you're never, like, you know, they blame you for never being wrong. Whereas I don't really... I'm not getting, like, you know, like, this is not, like, some fucking abstract science. Like, this is extremely basic stuff. Maybe his idea of a Fate build is one that can spam Elden Stars. Yeah, maybe. I don't know what the requirements for Elden Stars are, but... like, you'd probably have to, you know, maybe sacrifice a few points here and there if you wanted to use Elden Stars, I guess. But it would probably still be possible. There you go, guys. Our ignorant idiot is back. And he had to fish a lot for his answer, but this is what he found. Ignorant commenter here. This build is worse than strength for dueling, as it has far less defense and has Burn Helm and no strength bonus for defense. Damage due to Pierce, due to Sacred. Also lack of DLC grease. So this is, you know, the answer from the person who doesn't know anything about this game. So let's debunk that. Obviously, if you're using a TS on strength versus a TS on fate, you'd probably need to use Sacred Blade in order for both to compete, whereas the strength one would have BHS with grease. So the TS wins in a TS mirror. Now, when it comes to other weapons, anything that is power stance will win on Fate because it does more damage. I mean, it's... I don't even need to go back to run the stats. I think anyone knows that. Now, for two-handed weapons, even though TS wins, TS is actually one of the few exceptions because a lot of weapons will still do more damage on Fate. Like, for instance, I think great swords even probably do more damage. Like, because you have to keep in mind, like, a lot of the stuff that you run on strength, like what we were using earlier, like anytime I want to use a weapon, the default Ash of War that you're going to be using for that weapon is Flame Strike. And Flame Strike is very, very good on Fate builds because Fate builds have really good damage with Flame Art. And so your Flame Strike buffed weapon is likely going to outdamage a fire weapon or a strength weapon with bundle. And so a lot of time, like, your flame strike buffed weapon is just going to perform better on Fate build. There's some exceptions to that, like the very specific strength weapons, like, you know, sword lance, you know, like Gugs that we were not necessarily able to fit in on that build. But aside from some very niche weapons for that specific build, like everything else, you'd probably perform better with like with a flaming strike buffed. And also, like, this is tournament player knowledge, like Audium is saying. Like, if you watch tournaments, you know, tournaments players know that. Like, they make their Fate builds to be, like, super high damage, and they outdamage their opponent that way. Like, it's common knowledge that Fate has access to the highest damage of any build in this game. Like, even if you try to argue otherwise, but I thought I was not going to connect there. Supposed to be running. Oh, thought we were dueling for a second. Still an invasion. They're just doing some tag team here. One of my favorite quote, guys, is I mean, it's an old quote, but it was retaken by Mark Twain. It's easier to fool someone than to convince them that they've been fooled. And so, when it comes to like people like this YouTuber like arguing, no matter what I say, it's gonna be harder to prove that he's been an idiot than for him to be an idiot. You know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna disprove him. That's brutal. Have to be careful here. I think we need to focus on the Moonveil Scrub. And also start to be very careful about how we approach this. And also, let's not forget that it's not because you're dueling that you can't buff, right? Like, the strongest buffs are the Fate buffs. And they're very usable in the middle of a fight, too. Good assist. Need to be careful here. There you go. Newbie question, what's better, Barricade Shield or Scholar Shield? What is Scholar Shield? Dude, I don't even know what Scholar Shield is. I don't even use shields. But if you want a shield build, like the best thing to do is to use the grease. Like, you apply the grease on your shield, and you have a build that's, like, very stamina focused. The spell version of the shield grease? Oh, okay. What ash do you use for those great mace? Honestly, if you're doing PvE, there's a lot of options. If you're doing PvP, though, Flame Strike is by far the best ash that you can use for great hammers. And it's not really close either. Like, Flame Strike just synergizes perfectly with great hammers, because what great hammers usually lack is a roll catch, and Flame Strike provides that. And you also have the threat of the fast crouch attack. But the fast crouch attack is not that good at roll catching because it's short. But it's good as a threat to force someone to roll. So what you can do is, like, can crouch near them and flame strike the roll catch instead. Because they're forced to roll away because the crouch attack is coming, basically. That's like the textbook play with great hammers. And it's similar with great swords, with like, I even play, like, lance that way, like, I crouch into Flame Strike. It's similar with Great Sword, hammers, sight, Curved Great Sword. Curved Great Sword, though, maybe not as much, because the crouch attack is kind of bad, but for all the others, it's pretty much that. For Curved Great Sword, usually what I'll do is, like, I'll do R1s, like, staggered R1s into, like, a follow-up, like, R1, R1. Like, you know, I can actually show it. Like, you'll do that, or that, and then, like, randomly you go into a Flame Strike. And usually that's the sort of conditioning you want to do with Curved Greatsword, but with the others, the crouch attack is more of a threat. We didn't even have time to go up there. We tried out Zweihander off-axe. Yeah, I've tried all kinds of, like, I've seen even Shag use at some point, like, he had, like, a... Well, actually, he used that recently, revisited it, but a long time ago, before Shag even got into these streams, like, back when he was just a normal shitter, like, now he seems to be more normal. But back when he was, like, an obsessed shitter, like, he used to use, like, a great sword with a curved great sword to get, like, a bleed proc. And it was doing a lot of damage. Now, like, we've seen recently him use the Midoric Ultra coupled with that curved great sword that's unique to the DLC. And yeah, you can get some pretty high damage from, like, one crouch into, like, comboing. Personally, though, I'm not that big of a fan of setups like that, because really, like, in terms of timing, your off weapon doesn't provide any new timing, because the timing of the attack is too similar from your Ultra R1 to your offhand R1. So I definitely prefer more of, like, an offhand thrusting sword, an offhand dagger, an offhand hand axe, something that will provide, like, a significant threat in terms of speed to mix it up. Like, if I was to use, like, a colossal weapon, I'd rather have a faster weapon in the offhand to mix up the timing, as opposed to, like, leverage as much as possible the damage of your crouch attack. And if I want to leverage the damage of my crouch attack, I'll still prefer to use a two-handed colossal instead, And, you know, utilize the block also. Like, when you're mixing up your crouch attack, it's much easier when you can block. Sacred Blade Sword with light buff is probably the hardest hitting TS. I mean, with light buff, like, if you count buffs, like, light buff is extremely deadly. Like, it does, like, I think it's 20% in PvP. Is that right, guys? Is light sword buff 20% in PvP, or is it lower in PvP? Can someone confirm that? There's a lot of people here, actually. We need to be careful. It's about to follow this guy, but we're gonna take the smarter route. Alright, we trade that. Not sure if there's only these two. I have to play this carefully because the blenders come in very quickly. Already a blue. See, like, there's another guy in there. Like, it's actually still a 3v1. It actually comboed. We have some reinforcement here. We do. All right. Fortunate. We have time to kill him? I'm not sure. Blue probably, yeah, it's probably done. Just spamming. The blues were itching to get in? Yeah. It was the YouTubers, guys. YouTube viewers, I mean. But yeah, I remember a little while ago, like, one of the tourney that was won was like with our stance like TS on Fate build, and they did like really high damage. Obviously that's with restrictions, because without restriction, like, pack and blade on Fate build is, you know, pretty nasty. Sort of like Ash of War is 1.15, so 15%. Okay, so it's not 20%, but 15 is still absolutely insane, though. Holy shit, 15 is insane, considering it's 1 minute of 15%. And I don't think it takes, like... I think you can eat a crab with that, too, right? I don't even think it takes, like, the crab slot. If the parameter sheet is correct, it probably is. There you go. My homie Green is back. See him. It's a body buff, so it can stack with crab. That's... See, like, that's crazy. Like, that's such a strong... That's such a strong, strong buff, really. Nice double roll through Flame Strike. Okay. The fuck? Bro, you got confused with green? Bro, the lock on. You wanna hit green there? Unlock. Bro, he stayed in the Flame Strike too. This guy's net is actually so shit that he got saved from a Flame Strike 3 times. It's crazy. Bro, like, these people are terrible. Well played, Green. Like, even if the Phantom did terrible, he did way better with his latency, considering that he rolled, like, 3 Flame Strike, where he rolled too early, and anyone with, like, just a little bit less latency would have been caught with all 3 of these Flame Strikes. He basically double rolled all 3 of them. Like, for instance, a good, a good comparison of, like, strength weapon versus fate weapon that's good is, like, if you have this club versus, like, this one, like the Fire Curve Great Club, even though it's not the same weapon, this thing does a ton of damage on fate. So, like, your best Great Club changes depending on, like, which build you're using. Like, for strength, you'd probably want this one because it's the longest one and it does good damage, at 700. But, like, this one on Fate, with the Flame Strike buff, because that's what you'd be using, like, just here with Fire 905, like, you'd do even more on Fate build. Like, it would do, like, it would be super high damaging. The only argument that you can have against Fate build in favor of Strength and Dex, in my opinion, is, like, for Strength, you have, Golem Arrows, Great Bows. Like, Golem Great Bow, Thrusting Sword, and then Poison. That's really it. Like, Poison Bundles, Poison Infusion. Like, like, on Strength, like, if I'm fighting someone latent, like, I can decide to, like, use this poison lance here, poison buff. Whereas even if you can do that on Fate, the damage is just so much lower. Same thing for the Golem Great Bow. So that, I think, is the only, like, real advantage that strength builds have over Fate builds. But, again, on the other hand, Fate builds usually you out-damage with pretty much anything. Who needs it on Fate when you can have fire coils? Yeah, I forgot about that. It's not like we're talking about only advantages that string builds have. Like, you know, like if you're gonna talk about these sort of advantage, you have to go both ways. Like, fire coils are by far like the best consumable for any sort of situation to punish someone. Maybe not any, they're not the best for any situation, but for the the majority of situations, like, fire coils are just so good. And then on Fate also, let's not forget, like, anything in the buff department. Like, Fate has access to, like, all the heal buffs, all the fucking defense buffs. Like, you know, Light Flame Protection, even if it's not as good anymore, it's still, like, one of the better buffs in the game, you know. Same thing with, like, Great Magic Barrier. You know, we're not even talking about Projected Heal either. Also, if you want to focus your Fate build on damage, you also have the physics. That's something that strength builds... Like, strength builds can't boost their damage as much either. Like, you can decide to, like, use a sacred, like, damage buff in your physic, for instance. Something that you cannot do on strength. Like, strength doesn't really have, like, a way to boost its damage further like that. There's the guy. We early hit because we hit this side. That teammate? Oh yeah, it is. Nice. Well. Alright. Shit, teammate. I thought I was gonna get, like, ganked by 3 people, but that was teammate. Fate offer that only bugged in PvP. Yeah, that's a disadvantage, but again, it has the highest damage even with that. That's the thing. With all the buffs that it has access to. Also, you have to understand that when you're using a Fate, like when you're matching a Fate build against a strength build, right? Like one against the other. Like one might be inclined to say that the strength builds has more built-in defense. The issue with that is in most try-hard duels outside of like a ladder situation, people are eating crab or defense buffing in some capacity before fights. Like, for instance, every time we invade or anytime we fight someone at Stormveil, it's like physic crab, and everyone does that. With the combination of physic crab, you cannot resist like the majority of the damage that comes from the Fate build. even if the other guy knows you're gonna use Fate and they go for a Fate Holy Liver, they're still not gonna mitigate the physical portion of it. So you're always gonna mitigate more damage against someone that's pure physical than against someone that has split damage, but like high split damage. So that's another thing that's to be taken into consideration when you're matching up a strength build versus a Fate build. Like, very often, the strength build will have to either eat a crab or a holy liver. And, you know, the Fate build can also change to, like, do fire damage instead of holy. And the strength build will have no mitigation against the Fate build, whereas the Fate build will mitigate, like, a full 10% from the crab. I think it's 10%, I'm not sure. So that's another thing that kind of skews this strength builds have more built-in defense type argument. Because in most actual fights outside of like tournament plays, everyone eats crab. That's a huge kill if we can get it, but I'm not sure we're gonna kill. But yeah, we are. Nice. It's a very important kill. Oh, that's very unfortunate timing. Yo! Where's my hit? We hit that. What the hell? That's fucked up, man. Alright, let's kill that blue. He's seeing ghosts and shit. This game, dude, it's painful how bad it is. Let's go with this. Okay, I think we're gonna do this differently. We're gonna go that. Got saved by his host. You're dueling with most ladder rule set. Flame Strike is banned. Like, the thing is, like, I don't give a shit about ladder rule set, because ladder is, like, kind of a joke. Like, no one plays it. It's like a subset of the community. And no one even fucking reads their ban lists. So I don't even give a shit. Like, it's not even representative of what the game is. Like, you can't start to say, like, X build is better than Y build, like, based on that rule set, because that rule set is based on what they prefer. Like, the rule set is based around, like, what the fucking people that play ladder like the most. Like, they make rules to ban things they dislike. Like, that's what you have to understand. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with the game. Like, just as an example, by banning, like, Flame Strike, it's like, I don't even know. Like, at some point they banned it altogether. Other points they banned it on some setups. Like, I don't know, or I don't care how it is now, but, like, Flame Strike is an integral part of the game. Like, it's... Like, whether you like it or not, it's, like, one of the main way to roll catch someone in this game is to use Flame Strike. And a lot of weapons depend on it to be usable on top of that. Yo, that desync was brutal. Like, that made him escape. Oh, we gotta find the house now. Like, you know, I don't know if they still ban parries in ladder. I understand that parry is a mechanic that's not necessarily skill-based. Like, don't get me wrong, I understand the logic of banning parries, but even if you do decide to ban parries, you're still foregoing a main mechanic that's been in these games for pretty much every Souls game. And that changes matchups. It's like, it's not as difficult anymore to approach shields if you don't have to worry about getting parried. Whereas if you're fighting shields and you have to worry about getting parried, then your approach to fighting it is completely different. And so when you see a match against a shield, let's say in a ladder situation, it's not even representative of what actually happens in the real game. Like when you're fighting someone that has a shield that has the threat of parrying you. I need to find that host, but I don't know where he's hiding. Try to get some distance and then try to iron out where he is. So straight this way, he's probably in a tent, I assume. Probably in this tent even. Like over here hiding. Like this candle. No. Oh, no, never mind, he moved. Or could he be... There he is. Guys, alright. Okay, we need... we need to figure out how we're gonna do, like, big damage in, like, one go. We need to maximize this. I'm thinking of an Ash, but I don't know which one. Let's go with this, you know, keep it simple. I don't even know if he was AFK or not. I was debating, like, how do we kill him with big damage? I didn't know what to use. RKR Crusher. I wanted to hit him, like, through the tent. I was thinking of, I was actually thinking of, like, oh, maybe the Fate buff club, but I'm like, what is the most damaging, like, one attack that I have? It's definitely not the one I used, but I just didn't know, like, what to use. Like, I considered Wave of Darkness, but... Yo, Clevy, how you doing, bro? Good man, just waiting for Tarnished Edition. Yep. There you go. That's a cool spot to invade. You like that? I think we're gonna damage, boost our damage here because they're doing elemental, so might as well do a little more. Oh, there's 3 of them though. Can we knock him off? Yes, we can. A huge kill because it's the fingerprint. I love how I can use this to prevent him from hitting me. That was actually very well played. Like, this invasion... Like, if you are, like, someone that's looking at it from an outside perspective, you don't have as much experience with the game, you're like, oh, you know, that was easy. But it really only was easy because we made all the right moves. Because an invasion like that can be very quickly, like, overwhelmingly difficult. Like, you have the fingerprint guy that swarms you, you can't, like, damage him, basically, because you can't do any sustained pressure. And then while you have one guy that's peppering you from any angle with the guaranteed hit, like lightning spam, and then you have the other guy that's taking your attention, the third one. And so, like, an invasion like that can be very overwhelming very quickly. But the pot at the start, well angled, and then using the middle piece, like, patiently to take out the other guy, that basically went, like, as smoothly as it could. But invasions like that are usually pretty hard. And, you know, I know I'm ranting a lot today, but that's like one of the problems with this game. It's, you know, an invasion like that, if you've played these games long enough, you know it's a hard invasion to win, but when you win it, it feels and it looks so effortless, because technically it is if you make all the right moves. But it's not rewarding to win it. And then when you lose that, it feels very frustrating because you feel like you couldn't do anything. And so the winning situation is unrewarding and it looks like you did nothing. And the losing situation is frustrating and it looks like you couldn't do anything. Yeah, it's such a mixed bag of difficulty. Yeah, exactly. And we're talking about this, you know, if you replay this same invasion, like, different ways in different rooms and that sort of stuff, it can go, like, plenty of different ways, and it can be, like, very frustrating, and then when you win, like, what happened? It just doesn't feel right. Because you know, you just you threw a pot, and then you killed, like, a noob with, like, 3 attacks, and that was it. The problem is one wrong move can kill the whole invasion. Yeah, pretty much. You have, like, no safeguard. One thing that I really liked about Dark Souls 3 was the way tier was implemented. Like, the Tears of Denial in Dark Souls 3 really made for a more consistent invasion experience, because it did not matter what happened, at least you were guaranteed to resist one hit. Even like one big hit, doesn't matter what kind of hit you took, but if you were half HP, low HP, full HP, at least you were guaranteed that one hit that no matter if it took your whole HP bar, you were still going to stand with 1 HP. And that made for a very important safeguards against like that one mistake situation that could end it all. Obviously, you're not out of the wood when you get one hit like that and you're 1 HP. Like, you're still 1 HP and anything can kill you. But you have to keep in mind, in Dark Souls 3, there was no hand daggers like there is in this game. So the Tears mechanic was a lot better implemented in Dark Souls 3 than it is in Elden Ring. In Elden Ring, it's not only is it inconsistent because it can be skipped, but it's also key to like every build because it's kind of like part of your HP bar at this point. And you don't get it when you need it all the time because it's dependent on a timer, because your physic is on a timer and you can't get it back. But that's a problem with the game in general. Like, one of the biggest criticism that I have for this game is the reliance on the physic for the whole game. Like, the game is made around that physic, and that's just not good game design. Like, that physic, if the game was to be made around it, the physic would need to be a lot of the effects that the physic gives should be straight up permanent. One, to be able to enjoy it, not just for the bosses in PvE, but like when you're going through the map in PvE, you're not going to use your physic because you're just waiting to use it for the boss. And even after you've beaten the boss, you need to reset the whole world in order to get your physic back. And so you don't get your physic back by beating bosses or defeating phantoms, and that makes it so that it's just something that you can use very, very sparingly. But the problem is, the whole point of the physic is that this is what allows fight to be a little more balanced and last longer, because if people don't have their physic, they just die way too quickly. Because the HP bar needs that little physic buffer in order to not die right away. And it's funny because in Dark Souls 3, I had a big complaint about how the embers worked, because what was unfortunate is when, let's say, you were invading someone, invading a fight club, invading someone that wanted to 1v1, you could not 1v1 them on even playing field because one had the ember and the other didn't. If you were dueling, you were also embered, but if you were invading, you were not. And invaders never needed that disadvantage to have like less HP than everyone else. Same for the phantoms. And so I've always been very critical of that. Phew, we killed him before the clock. Yeah, the light roll physic is another problem, because the light roll physic should not have been in the game in the first place. Like, that thing, it doesn't, like, it's the same thing with FromSoft and a lot of their ideas. They throw shit at the wall and they see what sticks. And so, like, they have a lot of really bad ideas and they still go for it, and they just go with whatever. For the better and the worse, because when you throw shit at the wall, like, they throw a lot of shit at the wall. And I mean, we don't know, like, because there could have been, like, good mechanics that came out of that, you know, like, for instance, like the crouch mechanic. Even though they probably intended that idea to be for sneaking around enemies and, like, overall their the whole, like, sneaking in their game, like, that's probably, like, why they introduced the crouching. But it introduced a new attack, and it basically, like, created a whole new dimension to the base gameplay for, like, anyone that plays, even for PvE. Like, if I'm playing against a boss and I'm using a Colossal, I'm going to be using crouch attacks. And so no matter which idea they throw at the wall, I'm not even sure like all of it is done like entirely on purpose. It's just you just try a bunch of shit and then you're gonna have some good and some bad that comes out of it. And I mean, we speak about Dark Souls 3, but Dark Souls 3 had like massive flaws that Elden Ring like does way better. You have to remember that Dark Souls 3 had a lot of issues with neutral and passive plays, like way more than Elden Ring. I was actually focused on the Moon Veil charging up. Where do you heal from? Oh wow, he was low HP still. Crouch attacks are a must-have for future titles, in your opinion? I think crouch attack is the best thing that happened to Elden Ring, in my opinion. I think the crouching mechanic is legitimately the best improvement that came out of Elden Ring compared to like all other Souls game. Because to me, it makes the neutral gameplay so much more dynamic. Like, I like the idea for the jumping attack being good as well, but there could be made an argument against jump attacks, because jump attacks kind of defeat the purpose of spacing a lot of times, and they're very free to spam, and they're closer to a gimmick than a like fully fledged mechanic. I don't hate it though, and I don't hate the direction of jump attacks, like where it's taking, but I think it could be improved further. Whereas like crouching, I really don't see any negative from crouching. Like I just look at crouching as like a pure upgrade in every sense for mechanics. It's really a fun mechanic to be able to crouch, mix up, and make someone panic roll. I guess the only argument you could have against crouching is it looks silly. But looking silly, I could make that same argument with the rolling mechanic. Like, rolling is actually another thing that looks silly. A FromSoft dev took Quick Step, and they thought it would be a good idea to make like Turbo Quick Step. Yeah. Jump is like pseudo iframes. It can be abused more than crouch. Yeah, a lot of time jumps, it's like you notice it with good players that know how to abuse like very strong like jump based weapons. They're constantly jumping, and it nullifies like a good amount of weapons that are more like ground based or don't have like a hitbox in the air. And the constant jumping really makes it like difficult to work around it, and the jumping part does not really take that much skill either. The entire body should have a hitbox. I think so too. I don't think the lower body needs to not have it an hitbox. But that would definitely change the jumping mechanic. Like, basically, if the lower body still had a hitbox, you would not be able to just jump attacks like you can right now. Like, the dynamic would be, like, you'd be using jump attack more like an attack that has a lot of range. Whereas like people now are just like jumping out of its stun and basically like a reverse Uno card, basically, right? So I still think jumping is a good mechanic, but there could be an argument made against like about making it better than it is right now. Whereas crouch, I'm very satisfied with the way it works right now. Mech noodle pants. You guys think he has a noodle in his pants? Or is he making noodles in his pants? Alright, bud, let's do this. Heal up. No? Oh boy. Alright. Yeah, this guy wasn't ready. Wasn't ready for PvP. But, I mean, he did have the... He had a lot of people in his world, actually. Never mind. Roll catch exploiter? Yeah, I mean, panic rolls like crazy, though. It's funny, that's the #1 thing Noob complained about in Dark Souls gameplay, but you can't jump. I don't think it's a bad thing, though, to have, like, freedom of movement or expand on freedom of movement in these games. Like, when it comes to the, like, interesting aspect of the PvE or the environment or, like, traversing the world, jumping definitely makes it more fun to, like, go around worlds. I think, though, like, FromSoft could have made, like, a little more, like, platform-oriented, like, levels, because there's not really that much jumping required in general for this game when it comes to the environment. But it's definitely a good addition to be, like, you know, jumping around and using the level a little bit more, like, vertically. But again, I think more could have been leveraged there to have, like, a little more dynamic levels where jumping is more of a core part of going around the map. Like, there's not that many spots where you need to constantly be jumping. But, you know, it's cool to be able to, like, you know, go here if you want. And just, like, have access to all these different spots in a map. Like, it's much more dynamic that way than if you couldn't. It's definitely a big positive. That's why we usually say that jumping was a big jumping and crouching are a big positive that happened for this game. Like, the jumping is not necessarily just for the gameplay itself, but more like how it opens up like map traversal and makes it more interesting to parkour and that sort of stuff. But again, if we want to be picky, of course it could be improved. Like Nightreign and seeing how versatile they can make their characters, and then coming back to base Elden Ring, you feel the difference. Yeah, of course. Like Nightreign, I was actually surprised. Like I'm gonna say, like, I think I was wrong on Nightreign. I really thought that Nightreign would be a bad experience, and it wasn't. Although what's crazy is, despite this overall feeling, it still felt like a fun experience. I was also, like, correct on most of the points that I thought I would dislike, like the whole, like, super sprint, lack of crouching, you know, like, difficulty, all that stuff. Like, for the most part, before, like, they dropped their new, like, versions and everything, like, the difficulty was just not high enough. The diversity of stuff that you could do, just not high enough. The fact that you lost crouching, you know, definitely a thing. The fact that the super sprint trivializes PvE. Definitely a thing. Like, all these negatives are all real. And we saw that coming, and we said the game's gonna be bad because of all that. Thing happened. All these bad points are still there, and they're still bad, but game's still good regardless. So that's what was very surprising. That's what I call the panic roll special. Holy shit, they all they panic roll on point. God damn. Jumping out of its stun is so viable right now. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. Like, to me, like, the biggest problem with Elden Ring, aside from the player limit that killed fight clubs, that killed invasions, you know, like, that's the biggest problem. But aside from that, from a gameplay point of view, the main issue with Elden Ring PvP-wise is the fact that you can reverse aggression. That's the main issue with the game, that you can reverse aggression, like, fairly freely. And there's many ways that this happens. This happens because, you know, this happens because your weapon does not stun on the follow-up, so you don't keep priority there. This happens because hyper armor starts way too quickly, so you can hyper armor out of its stuns. Like you said, this happens because a lot of weapons don't have the tools equipped to deal with a lot of jumping. And so a lot of time it's just a good idea to jump out of its stun, and it basically, like, primes you to have a much bigger punish than what you got hit for in the first place. And so you can have terrible spacing, but if you reverse pressure with all these tools, you can win fights out of being, like, really bad at fundamentals, which is a bad thing. Like, that's the main issue with the game, like, gameplay-wise. It's the reversing of aggression. You don't, like, you want to reward being aggressive. And the person that's aggressive is the person who is attacking. And so the person who is attacking needs to be rewarded with pressure until the other guy manages to dodge properly. It's like a dance, right? Like, if I'm attacking someone, he dodges properly or he outspaces me properly, then he makes the proper defensive maneuver to counterattack me, and then now the pressure gets back on me. But the issue is that now, if you do have a successful aggression, you get punished for it a lot of times because you have this successful aggression, but you're still yourself, like, in a predicament because the other guy has so many options that they can do out of its stun to literally attack you out of it, that you have, like, no safe option. A lot of time your safest option is to back off or let go of the aggression. That's the safe play, and that's not good. That is not good. That's bad gameplay design, like, very, very bad. That's extremely negative even. Like, guys, like, if you watch, like, the better players that play this game, a lot of time, like, the play that you'll see is either they attack once and they back off, or they attack twice with a very, very fast weapon and they back off afterward. They cannot do any sustained aggression because the game simply does not allow it. And there's a lot of trades that happen because of that. That's not good, guys. That is really, really bad. That's the worst thing that Elden Ring does. Compared to all the previous Souls game, that's probably the worst thing this game does, like, on a gameplay level. Evan! Oh, we missed that. Felt like I timed it. Like I timed that. Well, not timed it, but whoops. It's by accident. Okay, let's just kill him. I think he has a little bit of lat, that's why we missed. Yeah, just a little bit actually. You find yourself trading a lot, that's why you go for hyper armor weapons. Like, the thing is, in this game, hyper armor weapons are extremely frustrating to play against and very easy to play with, but again, like you said, like you find yourself using them a lot because alleviating a lot of that frustration is using it yourself. But yeah, like, you know, the issue with hyper armor is, again, basically like a subset of the main issue, which is the reversing of priority. That's really like the biggest issue with hyper armor. It's the fact that you can attack out of its stun, the fact that you can reverse pressure, just like how like weapons don't stun on the second hit, just like how you can jump out of its stun a lot of times, stuff like that. Oh my shit net! What the fuck? Oh, this guy had that net. Guy too, it seems. Kevin with empty battery staff. I never heard that one. That's funny. Could you ever attack out of stun in Dark Souls 2 and 3? The dynamic was very different in Dark Souls 3 because Dark Souls 3 had combos. So what combos allowed, like every time you got a hit on someone, you were guaranteed a second hit. And so what was great about that aspect of Dark Souls 3 that I think was very underappreciated was the fact that you could decide to either go for a guaranteed second hit or to start your chain of roll catch over to get maybe like a roll catch into another guaranteed hit. So basically, like, you could decide either I go for this, either I go for this to get my full damage because that's guaranteed once I hit my first one, or either I go for this, a roll catch into this, right? And so you could have chains of attack where you go for this, roll catch again, you know, roll catch, and you just roll caught the other person like for a very long time, you know, properly aggressing. And obviously the effectiveness of the weapon depended on the speed of the weapon. Again, Dark Souls 3 had its flaws, the balance was very bad also, but for the most part, you know, if we're taking like straight sword for instance, you know, you could either go for, actually let me use that, at least show it properly. Like, for instance, you could either go for R1, R1, or if you thought your opponent was going to attack out of stun, you just kept attacking with R1s, really. Or if you thought your opponent was going to roll after your 2 hits, roll catch them with an R2. Or if you wanted to get some, like, more aggression, you go for 1, staggered hit, and then you go for another one. So, like, go like this, and then you roll catch them, and you get 3 hits guaranteed, and then you can follow up with whatever. So there was a lot more reward for aggressing because of that. Again, like, we're talking about like a good example for aggression, but I want to stress that Dark Souls 3 was far from perfect and had a lot of issues that Elden Ring did way better. For instance, Dark Souls 3, it was pretty much impossible to catch someone on high latency, or I should say to kill someone on high latency, because Quickstep had more iframes in Dark Souls 3 than any of Quickstep or BHS have right now in Elden Ring. Even though Elden Ring launched with the worst dodge mechanic with Bloodhound Step like pre-patch that any Souls games I've ever seen, still right now Bloodhound Step is like way more balanced than Quickstep was in Dark Souls 3, because Quickstep, it just gave so much iframes that someone with slight bit of latency was almost uncatchable, and if they had very high latency, they were uncatchable. And poison was not good, status was mostly not good either, and so your tools to catch someone that was latent were very limited, whereas what Elden Ring does nice here, if you want to equip a poison weapon, maybe the poison weapon doesn't do that much damage, but you're gonna get that poison proc very, very fast. And so you're not working for nothing against someone very latent. You have the tools to make it work. And so Elden Ring does a much better job with that. And so again, guys, it's always like some steps forward, some steps backward. That's the thing with FromSoft. They throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. It's never, like... Never comes from a place of, like, understanding why they do things, or why this mechanic is good, or why it's bad. It's always, like... Feels like they try stuff, and sometimes it does work, sometimes it doesn't. Alright, there's 2 of them here. Let's try this out. I forgot what spell that was. But they would push, but they didn't. What happened there? Oh, I don't know what happened. Careful, he has the broken Pana. Oops. And he's over leveled. We're gonna have to take our time, most likely, with this one. Come on. An overleveled scrub is gonna be a problem with the other one just spamming shit. Oh, come on. Not pushing. This is dangerous, guys. Good thing I have, like, Bull Goat Tally right now, because that's very important here. Great fucking game. Gonna have to take our time, guys. There's no rushing this one. Wow. Shit net right there. The range on that is nasty. Okay, we got a bird. It's our chance. Let's push. Oh, we did some good damage, but it's not enough. Oh my god. There you go. Finally. Bro does no damage. He probably needed to, like, didn't have the stats for it or something like that, because I don't know. The other guy was very dangerous, that's for sure. Alright guys, I'm gonna call it here for today. While we're still on a good roll. Because you know how it goes with these games, the longer you play, the more frustrating it gets, the more bullshit you have to face, so I'd much rather, like, when the stream goes well, keep it short, keep it entertaining, and go for another one next time. So I'm gonna call it here, guys. Thanks everyone for coming by again. Really appreciate it. Thanks for listening to these discussions. Or these monologues, I should say. Alright, take it easy, everyone, and catch you guys up next stream. Take care, guys. Thanks for invading with me, Green. I appreciate it. Brandy, send me your Twitch name. I'll unban you. Sorry, I didn't see your message earlier. Alright, let me raid on Twitch, and then I'm gonna do that. See who's on right now. Okay, we got oh, Fuji's there. Let's raid Fuji. Alright, take care, guys. Brandy Boy Wonder. Alright. There you go. Okay, it says unable to unban user. So either that's not the right name, or maybe, yep, either that's not the right name or you're not banned. Let me try to ban you then. The user you're trying to ban doesn't exist. Yeah, your name is not spelled correctly. Still streaming on YouTube? Yeah, I know. That's because Brandy made a donation specifically to be unbanned, so no, I usually don't do that, but I just didn't see his message earlier. Okay, now it worked, Brandy. That time it was spelled correctly. Alright, guys, I'm gonna get off. Take it easy, everyone.